everybody. Happy Tuesday. So, what are the consequences of refusing radiotherapy? So, there are consequences to everything, as we know, right? So, what are the consequences? Well, I'll tell you my consequences. I have had some people say to me that I'm absolutely crazy. I've had people pull back from me, and when you just know people are judging you, and yeah, so it's kind of, and then there's also that thing of like, I'm not taking my cancer seriously, or I feel I'm better than other people who do therapies or whatever, or, oh, look at me, I am amazing, not doing radiotherapy. It's not like that at all. I've done a lot of research. I've looked into it, and I've looked at the pros and cons, and, I have to live with the results of that and the consequences, and I can accept them. And it's not an easy decision. And no matter what decision people go for or make, there's always we're always going to kind of wonder if we've made the right decision. That's not just for this, that's for everything in life, absolutely everything in life. I mean, every decision I've made, big decision or small decision in my life, you come to a crossroads, you make a decision, and you take a direction, and that direction brings you into another phase or another, stage of your life. I have made many, many mistakes in my life. And I think years and years ago, I made decisions. I never talked to anybody about my decisions. I just did everything myself. And now I make informed decisions. I talk to the experts, and in other cases, when it's personal, I talk to friends and I ask them their advice. But I wanted to talk as well today about brain zaps. I don't know if anyone knows what brain zaps are, right? I was having these horrible, horrible feelings. So, when you're in menopause, I'm only learning all this stuff because it's all new to me, and it's forced medical menopause. So I, like a couple of weeks ago, I just felt, for me, my, when I get those hot flushes, the rush, for me, I had to Google it because nobody told me this. And when I say Google, I look at, they are like medical websites, etc., before people start saying, oh, you shouldn't be Googling. Well, if I didn't Google, I'd know nothing, genuinely. But, and obviously, you have to take with a grain of salt some things and whatever. And I really do. And if things keep coming up and up and up, you just know there might be some truth to it. But I didn't know that hot flushes and menopause it's not just a feeling of a hot flush. So for me, I get this nauseating feeling, this absolute rush, and then it's like you feel confused. I get this feeling of confusion, almost like I'm about to faint, or I've had this kind of, I don't know, like mini stroke. That's all I can say. Oh, sorry, there's somebody calling. So basically, that's what it is. It's like this rush, nausea, confusion, and just this like awful feeling of like, I can't describe, like I couldn't describe it. So then that was fine. Well, it wasn't fine, but I kind of guessed, okay, they are to do with the menopause, blah, blah, blah. And then I was getting these other feelings, and I don't know if anyone's like this, but when you get these feelings or these something medical and it's a physical sensation, and you actually can't describe it to anybody, because it's like describing a color to a blind person or anybody. How do you describe green, or it's like they say it's like describing a taste to somebody who can't taste, or it's like, So I didn't know. I was like, what is this? And of course, again, I'm just putting in words, words, words. And then eventually I found it. And it's called brain zaps, or electric shocks in your brain. And it was quite, when I say worrying, I've always had bits and pieces going on with me anyway. But it really was making me feel very weak and vulnerable, because I was out with my dog and I'd driven somewhere to walk my dog, and God love my dog. He was half, he was half dead walking in the heat, and then I was just feeling this awful sensation, and the two of us were just crawling along, and I didn't know who was worse, him or me. But the thing is, they're called brain zaps, and they're electric shocks. And I was trying to figure out, why do I have these? And then I realized something. I stopped taking. So when I was put on my tamoxifen, right? So when I was put on my hormone suppressant, or whatever you want to call it, my hormone cancer drug, people call it cancer treatment drug, whatever. When I was put on that, I got out the leaflet and I read from front to back. And I realized I was on a drug that it says, and it's the first drug, and it says, do not take this drug with this, because the tamoxifen won't work. It blocks the enzymes. There's a few enzymes, and it blocks the enzymes, which blocks it working. Therefore, estrogen will be made in your breasts, and what's the point in taking it? If I'm going to do the drug, I'm going to do it right. It's a awful drug to take, but I'm not going to keep going on about how awful it is, because I have to do something, and my body there are cells in my breasts that are just dying to grab onto estrogen and then go bonkers and cause cancer. So like, what am I going to do? Let's block estrogen. Fine by me. So now I'm saying fine by me. I didn't sleep one wink last night, not for 1 minute, none. Didn't sleep at all. The night before I slept, and the night before that I didn't sleep. The night before that I didn't sleep. Now, some nights I might get an hour, and it's not as if like I'm okay. The next day I feel sick. I'm dizzy. I'm like, it's not good. But anyway, so I was then watching, there are some really informative videos and things, on the internet. And I keep stating they are doctors themselves, breast cancer doctors who got breast cancer. So they're medical, and I believe their information, right? So one particular lady, she's American, and she was talking about tamoxifen and how it doesn't work with the drug that I was taking. That was absolute. Now, and then anyway, I'll finish this. And then she said, and the next drug is the one I'm on. Well, was on up to 2 weeks ago. And I was like, oh my God, I can't believe the doctors have done this. So she was saying like, this particular doctor on the internet said that, it can work at 85%, 90%, like it stops at working 85% to 90%, whereas the other one, it's like 100%. And I'm like, why am I doing that? Do you know what I mean? Like, why am I taking this drug? And I don't know if you'd get all the side effects and negative things with the drug, but you don't get the benefits of it, or whether it just stops it kind of working full stop, so you're not actually even having the side effects. I don't know what is what at the moment, because I don't know if what I'm going through is anxiety and stress, which I'm full of. I don't know if it is menopause, like very fast menopause, or I don't know if it is tamoxifen. Do you know what I mean? So it's very hard when everything happens at once, and then of all these side effects or feelings and medical things going on, I don't know what's what. So I decided to stop that drug, and I said, will I go back to the GP, and will I talk to the GP? And I'll tell you what happened initially. When I realised I shouldn't be on the first drug, I rang my practice, and they said, you can talk to you can make an appointment in a couple of weeks or whatever like that. And I said, well, I need to talk about medication. They said, yeah. Now, I'm not blaming any doctors or anything here, and I'm not blaming anyone, but I know that it's common practice for whoever answers the phone to kind of decide, if something's urgent or it's not or whatever. And that's neither here nor there. That's not what I'm saying, but I'm saying I panicked. So I said, wait, I can't wait 2 to 3 weeks for an appointment. I'll go around to my pharmacy. And I went around to my pharmacy and I spoke to my pharmacist, and there were a couple there, and they said, oh yeah, I said, I'm taking this. I showed them the packet, and I'm taking this, the Tamoxifen, and I had the piece of paper, and I said, look what it says. And they were like, ooh. So they were really nice, and they rang my GP, and they rang my hospital and my breast clinic. And so then they decided to give me another drug, which isn't as bad to take with it, in the sense of it's, But I just thought, if I'm not doing the radiotherapy, if I'm not doing that, I want to give myself the best chance possible taking the drug. And so you have to, what I'm trying to say is, take your, health into your hands. Look things up, and do your, do your research. Another thing you get is indigestion, by the way, from Tamoxifen. It's you get horrible indigestion. It's one of the main side effects. But so do your research, ask the questions, talk to your cancer nurse. I know that most countries, I don't know where people are from, but a lot of people are from the UK. And in the UK, you have a cancer nurse. You're allocated a cancer nurse. Call your cancer nurse. Go to Maggie's. Talk to all the people there are well qualified and they're in the know. Talk to them. Ask them questions. If there is anything, have a little bit of knowledge before you go, and then give them that knowledge, and then say, what do you think? But don't go through it alone. Don't go into anything blindly. And I'm not saying don't do treatments and don't take medications and don't do this and don't do that. What I'm saying is, feel, in control, and feel that you're taking responsibility for yourself, in the sense that, if you're given medication, you look into the medication, you ask, what are the side effects? If the side effects sound horrific, say, is there any way that I can make these side effects a little bit better? So in my case with Tamoxifen, I decided that, do you know what? I love herbal tea. So I've every herbal tea you can think of. I've got licorice, and I've got, mint, and I've got chamomile, and I mean, literally, I've got every type you can think of. I collect them over, time, and then I add more and more. And I love, you see, for me, I'm not a water drinker. I'm not a big water drinker, which I should be, but I get comfort with warm drinks. So I like drinking hot drinks. So then I decide, well, I'll have a look at my ginger tea, because ginger tea will help you with side effects of menopause, which is kind of the side effects of Tamoxifen. Well, ginger isn't very good to be taken with Tamoxifen in high doses, if you're taking it in supplement form and things like that. You can have some in your dinner. You can have, my friend made me a lovely dish last night, and it had ginger in it, and I was like, oh, and I again looked, and I thought, no, you're allowed a little bit with your food, not to be taking it every day, not to be throwing it into juices or whatever. And then there's just so many things. Chamomile tea can have an effect on the enzymes, which can block Tamoxifen from working. Licorice is a no-no with Tamoxifen. Grapefruit, as most people would know, with most medications, you can't take grapefruit. Lime, in my case, lime juice or lime is not good. The rind of citrus fruits, just little things like that, and I'm sure a little bit of everything is okay, but I just want to try and do my best, so. And then I thought green tea, great. I've loads of green tea. I don't like green tea, but I thought, you know what, I've loads of green tea, and I've always great intentions. I buy green tea and then I never drink it, so it just builds up. But I find personally for green tea and even mint tea, and if I put a little bit of milk into it, now in my case I use almond milk. I use soya milk in coffee and almond milk in all teas. The reason I know that mint tea is nice with almond is because by accident I put it in a few years ago. I put milk in. I said, oh no, I'm after putting milk into my mint tea. And I said, oh, I'll drink it anyway. And I drank it and it was actually nice. I was like, oh, I like that. So ever since I've put milk in most of my teas, even into chamomile and all of that. If if you're kind of saying, oh, I don't know, but if in your case you can take chamomile and ginger and all those wonderful teas, please do. They are really, really good for you. They're good for, like, I've nettle tea, I've dandelion tea, and good for your kidneys and your liver. And I need anything that can help at the moment. I am not being perfect. I don't want to come across this person that's doing my juices and doing this. I haven't done juices in a few days, probably a week, because in my, personality, I do too much of everything. I made so much soup. I mean, soup coming out my ears, and nobody else will eat my soup. Like, I don't really know anyone around, but like they're all meat eaters. So I've got soup coming out my ears, and I'm like, I better eat all the soup. So literally after my breakfast, after a couple of hours after my breakfast, I'm having a bowl of soup. I'm having a bowl of soup for my lunch. I'm having a bowl of soup in the afternoon, bowl of soup for my dinner, and then I'm having a bit of dinner. But it's just like soup, soup, soup. So I'm kind of just panic eating soup. So I haven't been doing my juice, but I just want to state that I'm not this health freak. I've always liked healthy food. In fairness, I do like healthy food. I like vegetables. I love dinner. All of that. But I do tend to eat a lot of sugar, and because I know sugar is bad for me now, I'm panic eating sugar. So I'm kind of saying, oh, I'll just eat these and then I'll give up next week, or I'll do it, you know what I mean? But I have to allow myself also say, do you know what? It's okay to just, even if I'm panic eating, I keep saying, Neve, you'll be fine. After a while, you'll calm down, etc. So it's just, I wanted to say really about the radiotherapy. I feel the fact I'm not taking the radiotherapy makes me feel even more responsible for my tamoxifen working 100%. So, I'm really going, well, okay, I've said I'm going to take my tamoxifen and I'm not doing the radiotherapy. So the tamoxifen, a lot of things, it's very complex. It's all to do with enzymes and, I don't know, all these different letters and things that interact with it. So, in general, I can eat, most things, but it's just some of the things like herbal teas and certain fruits. It's usually citric fruits that are a problem with medications. And yeah, so it's just about trying to inform myself, and I'll eventually get really used to it. If somebody is making, I don't know, a curry and there's loads of ginger, I'll just say, can you just cut back a little bit on the ginger or whatever, I'm taking supplements. I am taking supplements. I'm taking vitamin C. I'm taking vitamin D. I'm taking vitamin B complex, and I'm taking kind of an oil as well in tablet form. Is that called CO12 or something? I can't remember. Excuse me. And so I'm taking, I'm trying my best with that. and with what I can afford as well. Because I kind of would run out of, I've run out of magnesium, and I'd love some magnesium. I think magnesium is so important for me, but I have to kind of wait a little while and just say, okay, I will get my magnesium in a couple of weeks or whatever. And when, I can do that, because the supplements are not cheap, and they're food for me, and they're so vital. Um, it's funny, like how you can get so much on the NHS, in the sense if you can get all these medications, you can get really expensive like antidepressants and whatever, but you can't get supplements. And I did ask, I said, is there any way I can get supplements on the NHS? And the answer is no. And then they would just advise you to eat as healthily as you can, which I'm trying to do, and I agree with that. So I'm trying to do that. I would like more organic fruit and veg, which I find very difficult to source here. I can go into a couple of places in Edinburgh, but I mean, it's expensive. And when you go into organic shops, the fruit and veg are rotting, really, like rotting, So it's kind of, it's just a bit kind of depleting in that sense. I would like to, I'd love, like, like in France or Spain, you go to the market and you just get all these things. But yeah, so that's where I'm at the moment. So I'm trying my best, feeling overly responsible now for myself, and it's almost like, I have to be extra careful. I do 100% feel I made the right decision, not getting the radiotherapy in my case. And the longer the time goes by, I would have been actually finished it today. I would have had my week done today. But as each day goes on, I'm feeling more and more confident in my decision. And also I've been in contact with people who have, almost, clarified that for me, because they have their stories and people they know and all of that. So keep talking to me, ask me questions, tell me your stories. That's why I'm doing this. I want to help myself, and I want to help you. And I just, for me, need to keep talking. I need to know everything. I just want to know everything. I want to know the whys. I was one of those kids. It's like, but why? Because the sky is blue, but why? Oh, because of this, but why? Everything was why. And I really am a why person. And I need to know, and it's good. It's really good. And we didn't have Google in my day, so it's wonderful. No matter what I think about, I Google. I was even looking up nettle, because there's nettles everywhere. And I just thought, like, nettle tea. I love nettle tea, so I was nettle tea, nettle soup. But you can make nettle. What's that thing called? It's like you put it in, it's diluted. I know people are saying I can't think of the word, but it's like a syrup, and you put it in, and then you put water in with it, and you drink it, and it's sweet, whatever. But that is, you can make that nettle as well, and that would be really nice as well. It would help me to get water into me, So I just Googled one day. I was like, how do you make that? Do you know what I mean? And it's amazing. I will be making more things. I promise you, I'll be making more soups, more jams, more, juices. And I will also be doing, recipes as well, actual cooking. So I've always been interested in food. I've always been a lover of food. I love food. I love good food. I love fresh food. But it's about having, firstly, primarily, the money. It sounds great to say I'm eating healthy. It really does. I'm eating healthy. Well, if you're eating healthy, you need money to eat healthily. Really do. Healthy food is more expensive. Fact. Secondly, you need the energy. You need actual energy and the ability to do it. And thirdly, you need the kind of the get up and go, that oomph, and that's that mental health thing. And that's attached to so many things. My emotions, it's attached to my physical health, when I'm tired and when I'm not sleeping and I'm sore all over with my fibromyalgia. I feel kind of a little bit low. I'm thinking, God, I'm only young and I have no energy and I want to be doing this and I want to be doing that and I can't. And then I'm like, just have some toast, have a bit of toast, have a biscuit, have cake. And it's easy to do that and then pile on the weight. And the other thing, and I'm going to finish on this, is when I said to my oncologist, about not doing the radiotherapy, she said, look, you don't smoke, you're like, I'm not, I gave up smoking, oh God, not even that long ago, 2 years ago, maybe a year and a half ago. I mean, I was on and off them for years, but I did have a good gap of probably 7 years where I was off them, but, and so no alcohol, no tobacco, no meat, no processed meat, which is very important. That's really a killer processed meat. So sorry, I don't know if it's cat hair on my nose or little tiny insects. They make me itchy. But so I just wanted to say that I'm trying my best. The doctor said, you're doing everything and you're slim. And I said to her, I've put on 2 stone. And she said, well, I mean, people, you mightn't. You'd notice if you really know me or you're standing beside me. I have put on weight. But some people wouldn't even notice if I'm wearing the appropriate clothing. But she said to me, and I'm finishing on this, she said to me, it is proven that people after they're diagnosed with cancer and get cancer, if they lose weight, the chances of cancer coming back are reduced really profoundly. So I'm holding on to that. But in order to lose weight, I have to move more. And in order to move more, I need to have like less pain and more energy and sleep better. So, it's a vicious cycle. How do you, one thing has to click into place, really, doesn't it, before everything else does. So the only thing I can really do is try and eat as healthy as I can. I do walk my dog, albeit not, the way I used to, but, we're both slowing down. But, my life isn't over. I don't, when you have cancer and when you think, okay, it might be gone, you're never 100%. It's always here. It's always here. You're carrying it with you. As positive and everything as we are, we carry it. And so, yeah, I have this little thing of like, oh, is this not the end as in I'm going to die, but is this the way I'm going? Is it going to go downhill? I want to be healthy and fit and active. I suppose I want to come back to me. I want to really, where's Neve gone, but maybe this is a new Neve, but I'd like a healthy and active one to come about, So thank you for listening to me. Thank you for being on this journey with me. And please share your stories. Tell me what you think. Have you any recipes? Have you any information that I've talked about that you would have more information? I love hearing other people's perspective. I'm not medical. I'm not an expert. It's my opinion and where I'm at. Okay. Have a lovely evening, everybody. And I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye. Hi guys, I forgot to say, I was only thinking afterwards, I started talking about these brain zaps that I'm having, and I kind of went off into some tangent about whatever I was talking about, but I'm not sure if you actually got that the reason
I'm getting those, I think, is because I came off a drug that isn't compatible with tamoxifen. So I came off the drug, but cold turkey. So I literally decided, can't take that. So I said, by the time I make an appointment with a doctor, by the time I see a doctor, blah, 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 could be a few weeks. So I said, I won't take it. And then I discovered that these are the side effects of just going cold turkey from this particular drug. So, but hopefully that won't last so long. It's really now kind of frightening, the zappy feelings. It's like, ooh, but at least my tamoxifen has a better chance of working. And the other thing is, it could be just the menopause. It could be the tamoxifen. I don't really know, but I'm just hoping that these feelings, they're quite intense. I'm getting dizzy quite a lot, feeling nauseous, and it's like an out of body experience, and it's kind of out of the blue, and it's just like it's like you lose consciousness for a millimeter of a second, then you come to. Now I don't know if that's actually what's happening, but it's like not a nice feeling. So I just wanted to clarify that. So that's it. So take care, God bless, good night, and talk to you tomorrow. Bye.